Okay, let's unpack this because my heart rate is finally, and I do mean finally, starting to return to something normal.
I don't blame you.
If you were looking for a calm, relaxing Sunday afternoon of football, you definitely did not find it watching the Cardinals take on the Rams in Week 11.
No, you did not.
This wasn't just a football game, it was a heavyweight bout. Just trading blows in the center of the ring until the final bell.
It absolutely was. And frankly, those are the kinds of games that tell you who a team really is.
Right.
It's easy to look good when you're up by 20 points and the other team's packed it in.
Yeah.
But this, a 35-34 thriller where every single play felt like it could decide the outcome,
Yeah,
that requires something else entirely.
exactly. 35-34, a single point. And that is exactly what we're here to do today. The mission for this deep dive is to move past just that final score. We know they won, but we need to figure out how Arizona pulled this off against a playoff caliber opponent. Because when you look at the surface, it just looks like chaos, a shootout where the last team with the ball won. But when you look closer, is that fair?
I'd say there was absolutely a method to the madness. And what's fascinating here is that while we call it a shootout, and it was, nearly 70 points on the board, it wasn't reckless.
Okay.
At least not from the Arizona side. The Cardinals didn't win by accident or, a lucky bounce. They won because of what I'd call situational mastery.
Situational mastery. I like that. It sounds precise.
It is precise. In a game decided by 1 point, every single decision, every conversion, every yard matters. And when we look at the source material, the stats coming out of Week 11, the numbers are honestly staggering.
Yeah, they are.
They paint a picture of an offense that was operating with surgical efficiency.
Well, let's dive right into those numbers then, because there is one stat that jumped out at me immediately, and I feel like it's the key to the whole game. The aha moment, if you will.
I have a feeling I know exactly where you're going with this one.
The efficiency. Specifically, third downs. The Cardinals converted 80% of their third downs. 80%.
It's demoralizing is what it is.
I mean, that is unheard of.
Let's break down why that number is so significant. In the NFL, if an offense converts, say, 45% of their third downs, the coach is happy.
Sure.
If you hit 50%, you are having an incredible day. Hitting 80% is almost a statistical anomaly.
So 4 out of every 5 times they faced a third down, they moved the chains.
Exactly. And think about what that does to the Rams' defense. Put yourself in their shoes. That statistic is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
You play perfectly on first down. You stuff the run on second. You've got them in 3rd and 6. You think you're about to get off the field, get some Gatorade, look at the tablet.
And then they convert. Again.
And again.
And again. It's like the drive that never ends. It must be exhausting.
It's physically and mentally exhausting. Converting 80% of third downs does 2 things. First, it just keeps your defense on the field, wearing them down.
Yeah.
But secondly, and maybe more importantly in a game like this, it keeps the opposing offense, which was also scoring at will, on the sideline.
So it's almost a defensive strategy played by the offense.
In a way, yes. The best defense against that Rams offense was making sure they never got to touch the ball.
And it wasn't just third downs. We have to talk about the gold zone, the red zone. Because usually you see teams get down there and stall out, the field shrinks, windows get tighter, and they settle for 3. But in this game,
Perfection.
literal perfection.
Uh,
A perfect 5-for-5 performance in the red zone, 5 trips inside the 20, 5 touchdowns.
No field goals.
None.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, to that 35-34 final score, that statistic is the entire ball game. Think about it. If just one of those drives stalls out,
Just one.
if they kick a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown,
Yeah.
that's 4 points off the board.
And suddenly 35 points becomes 31.
And 31 points means you lose 34-31. In a 1-point game, settling is losing. That 100% conversion rate wasn't just a nice stat. It was the difference between a win and a loss.
That's a great point.
It shows a level of execution that you usually only see in championship rounds. When the pressure was highest, they executed.
Okay.
Every single time.
So, okay, third down dominance, red zone perfection, those don't happen in a vacuum. Someone has to be pulling the trigger. And that brings us to the man under center.
Jack Weber.
Jack Weber. I feel like we've been talking about him as a potential star for a while, but this felt like a statement. This felt like he was planting a flag.
I agree. It felt like a graduation day for him. And what stands out to me isn't just the highlights, but the consistency. Let's look at the passing numbers first.
Okay.
He threw for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, 221 isn't a monster number, but look at the completion percentage.
79%.
79. that is surgical. He's not forcing things. He's taking what the defense gives him, and he's putting the ball exactly where it needs to be.
Which led to that passer rating, 133.1.
Which is elite. I mean, in the NFL, anything over 100 is great. 133, that means you're seeing the field perfectly.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me. It wasn't just his arm. We talk about dual threat quarterbacks all the time.
Right.
But sometimes that just means a guy who can scramble if he has to. Weber was a legitimate weapon on the ground in this game.
He was. He wasn't just running for survival. He was running for impact.
He added 33 rushing yards.
Yeah.
But he had 2 rushing touchdowns.
That's the total impact we look for. When you combine the air and the ground, that's 4 total touchdowns from your quarterback.
4.
And going back to that red zone stat, that 5 for 5, this is a big reason why. When you get close to the goal line, defensive coordinators usually love it because the back of the end zone acts as an extra defender.
Oh, right. Everything gets condensed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when your quarterback is a legitimate threat to run it in, the defense is in a mathematical bind. It's 11 on 11.
Yep.
If they turn their backs to cover the receivers, Weber draws it down and walks in. If they keep eyes on Weber, they leave a receiver open.
It creates hesitation. And in this league, hesitation gets you beat.
Every time. Weber's ability to hurt them with both his arm and his legs, especially in those clutch moments, was the catalyst. He was the engine for that efficiency.
But, and I think this is important, he wasn't doing it alone. You don't get 35 points with a one-man show.
No, absolutely not. The support system was firing on all cylinders. This was a balanced attack, and that's what keeps a defense honest.
Let's start with the ground game. We mentioned Weber's rushing, but the team as a whole averaged 6.1 yards per carry.
Which is a massive number.
If you're getting 6 yards every time you hand the ball off, you're controlling the game.
And that 6.1 average is the secret sauce behind that 80% third down rate.
How so?
Well, if you gain 6 yards on first down, you're looking at 2nd and 4. Your playbook is wide open.
Yeah.
You can run, you can pass, you can do anything. They kept themselves out of 3rd and long all day because the run game was so effective.
And we saw contributions from everyone. Isaiah Pacheco led with 43 yards on 7 carries. Then you have Trey Benson chipping in 34 yards on just 4 carries. That's explosive.
It is. And don't forget Kay Johnson. He didn't have huge yardage, but he had that 4-yard touchdown run.
Again, red zone execution.
Exactly. Everyone who touched the ball seemed to maximize their opportunity. You can't just key in on one guy.
Speaking of guys you have to key in on, we have to talk about the receiving core. Because Marvin Harrison Jr. he was doing Marvin Harrison Jr. then.
He really is the alpha in that room, isn't he?
86 yards and a touchdown, including that 26-yard strike that was just beautiful.
What Harrison Jr. gives you is certainty. When Weber needs a play, he knows where to look. But again, to go back to that thing of balance, it wasn't just him.
No.
If you just cover Harrison, someone else beats you. Hunter Thomas had a huge day with 69 yards. Tommy Davis added 27.
And the tight ends. I feel like tight ends are always the unsung heroes of red zone efficiency.
They're the safety valves.
Yeah.
McBride had some key grabs, and then you have Mayer punching in a short yardage touchdown. That is exactly what you need from that position. Toughness.
So we have an offense that is just firing on all cylinders, 80% on 3rd down, perfect in the red zone, balanced. It sounds like they should have won 50-10, but...
The score was 35-34.
Right. 34 points allowed. We have to address the elephant in the room, the defense.
We do, and this is where context is king. If you just see 34 points allowed, you might think the defense played terribly. But you have to remember who they were playing. The Rams have a high-powered offense.
So it was a bend but don't break situation.
I'd call it timely resilience. They gave up yards, sure, they gave up points. But when the offense needed the ball back, or when they needed to prevent the game from getting out of hand, individual players stepped up.
Who stood out to you on that side of the ball?
Tremaine Edmonds. He was everywhere. The stat sheet backs it up, 8 tackles and 2 tackles for loss.
Can we pause on tackles for loss, TFLs, for a second? Why is that stat so important compared to just a regular tackle?
A regular tackle usually happens after the offense has gained yards. A TFL means the play went backward. It changes the math. Instead of 2nd and 6, it's 2nd and 12.
Ah, right.
It forces the offense off schedule. It's a rhythm killer.
And Jay Birch was a disruptor, too.
Absolutely. 6 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a sack. That sack was huge. In a one-point game, a sack is a drive killer. It could push them out of field goal range or kill all their momentum.
And we can't forget the secondary. Jalen Thompson with 5 tackles, Buda Baker with 3 tackles and a pass deflection.
And that pass deflection from Baker, those are the plays that don't always make the headlines but save a drive.
Right.
The sources mentioned the defense didn't force any turnovers. And usually the rule is you can't win a shootout without winning the turnover battle.
But they did.
That's the anomaly here. They matched the Rams' physicality.
Yeah.
They didn't get the lucky bounce or the interception, but they made the stops necessary. It wasn't a defensive masterclass, but it was a masterclass in hanging tough. They didn't blink.
Didn't blink. I love that, because that brings us to the big question, the so what of this whole deep dive.
This raises an important question about the team's identity moving forward.
We're in week 11. The playoffs are looming. Does a gutsy, nail-biting 35-34 win prove that the Arizona Cardinals are legitimate contenders?
I think it does. I really do, and I'll tell you why. It's easy to blow out a bad team. It's even easy to lose a close game to a good team and say, oh, moral victory.
Yeah, we almost had him.
Exactly. But winning a tight game against a playoff-caliber opponent without your defense forcing turnovers, that speaks to mental toughness,
Yeah.
resilience.
It really does.
They faced adversity. The Rams kept scoring. Every time Arizona punched, the Rams punched back. They could have folded. But Weber kept leading, Harrison kept making plays, and the defense got the stops when they absolutely had to.
And they are going to need that character pretty immediately.
Oh, without a doubt. There's no rest in this league.
Because looking ahead, Week 12 brings another massive test, a divisional battle against the Seahawks.
And that is why this win was so critical. You want to go into a divisional rivalry game with momentum. You want to go in knowing you can win the close ones. This win sets the table.
The stakes are just getting higher every single week.
They are. And if they can carry this offensive efficiency, this 80% third down rate, into the Seahawks game, they are going to be a very, very difficult team to beat.
So let's recap what we've learned. This wasn't just a 35-34 win. This was a showcase of historic efficiency.
Historic is the right word, yeah.
We had Jack Weber playing at an elite level with 4 total touchdowns. We had a run game churning out over 6 yards a carry. And we had a defense that, despite giving up points, made the critical plays to seal the deal.
And we had a team that went 5 for 5 in the red zone. I can't stress that enough.
Right.
That is championship football.
It really feels like they are peaking at the right time. But as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Go for it.
We've talked about how good the Rams were, how good the Cardinals were, but looking at these numbers, specifically the efficiency.
Well, here's a provocative thought for you to chew on. When you have an offense that operates at 80% efficiency on third downs and is literally perfect in the red zone, is the only thing that can stop the Cardinals themselves.
Ooh, I like that. When you're that efficient, the opponent almost doesn't matter unless you make a mistake.
Exactly. If they play clean football, if they don't commit penalties or turn the ball over, I'm not sure who slows them down. The biggest threat to Arizona right now might just be Arizona.
That is a fascinating thought to take into Week 12. Can they maintain this discipline against a divisional rival? We will find out against Seattle. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a blast unpacking the stats behind the score. Make sure you're ready for next week, because if this game was any indication, the rest of Season 84 is going to be a wild ride.
Absolutely.
See you next time.